Yay, hello, and welcome to This Week Training Tuesday, live for Magnet Marketers. And today we're talking all about the real role of a social media account manager, what to expect, what's changed over the years, because it's definitely changed. Whether you're doing the role, you already know this, or you're hiring outside for the role, just what to expect and what is required for that social media manager today. And some questions maybe you need to ask, as well as like what maybe we need to change up in the role description, or what maybe we need to change up as far as how we're hiring for coverage of your social media channels. But if we've not met before, hello. My name is Jessica Phillips with Now Marketing Group in the Relationship Marketing System, and my awesome co-host, he's Mike Gingrich. He's the president of Digital Hill, the co-founder of the popular apps Waftio, a tab site, publishes author extraordinaire that just keeps adding to his list of books while he's in quarantine. He's a powerhouse with that. But we both have some experience with managing teams that do social media management and doing it ourselves as well. But before we dive into today's show, just a quick hello to you, Mike. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing well. You know, I think it's in these quarantine days, I feel like I'm not moving around as much, you know. I mean, but you got to say, I look back on it, you know, I'm working, my family's healthy, so yeah, doing well.
That is looking at the bright side, right? Like the things that we can all appreciate and take in from this time of crazy. And like we've had kind of that theme over the course of the past couple of weeks as we've been diving into Magnet Marketers and bringing things such as, you know, how to de-stress, what to look at for your social media plan, and, you know, how to kind of pivot your business and all things to kind of keep you abreast of taking care of your business during this time and yourself during this time of the COVID-19 craziness. And today is really kind of inspired by that as well. Also something that we wanted to talk about, but really it brings to light the value that can really be appreciated now more than ever of a social media account manager, when social is the one thing, and in many businesses, kind of the only thing that's operating 24/7 for them right now to communicate, have conversation, and build relationships, community with their business and their clients. So it really is kind of shining the light on what all a social media account manager does. And it looks like we have several of them in the comments here already. Some social media account managers with Now Marketing Group, and also some guests that are familiar with social media management. So do let us know, are you managing, if you are joining with us, are you managing social media right now? Are you hiring it out? And what kinds of things have you seen that really is valued during this time of COVID-19? So first, Mike, let's take it back to, let's imagine the world pre-COVID-19, feels like years ago, but pre-COVID-19, but in really like when we were, let's say, doing social media management a couple years ago, let's say in 2010, even when I started the business, which was 10 years ago, which does seem like a couple weeks ago, but the role of a social media account manager then versus now, right? What would you say that you did for social media management then, and kind of just the nitty gritty with it at that time?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, if you look back that long ago, you were largely, all you needed was like some copywriting and loading an image kind of skills. So it was limited. I mean, it was mostly going to be text and an image or a link kind of piece there. And what I'm really excluding that's come is like the video piece, but that, you know, so that you didn't need that back then at that point in time.
Yeah, you're spot on, right? So looking at what's evolved now and really taking it back, a lot of times when we are looking at social media plans before, it was very kind of limited and streamlined in that we're going to write some copy, we're going to create maybe a couple images, and for the most part, they were the same sized images.
Yeah.
There weren't an everyday image, and we're just talking an image. It's not even animated. It's not maybe even customer, you know, branded or company branded. And there were several links in there. And a lot of times that's what many brands still think today is that that's what it requires. You're just writing some posts out, you're pushing it out, and we can put some links in there and maybe a couple images here and there. I still see many brands kind of stealing images off Google and using that as their images, which no, we can't do today, or even some really cheesy stock photography. And that's evolved now. So since then, right? Like now
and no paid advertising, right? To begin with.
Yeah. Say that one more time. What was it?
No paid advertising to begin with, right? I mean,
exactly. Yeah. So these are the things that are now expected, though, of a social media account manager. It's not even just coming up with the post. It is that. But now we have to look at it because there's so many more companies than ever before. The very first thing you need to look at when you're thinking about hiring or bringing in or doing social media management for yourself or another company is first the strategy that you're going to use when you're going in, before you even go in to make any posts, because there is more noise out there than ever before. And I don't think there's as much appreciation taken into the role of hiring or doing the role of a social media account manager of the strategy component, because that is the make or break of the success, the engagement, and the results of your social media plan. And what I mean by the strategy is taking a step back and saying, okay, how is our brand going to easily convey our message that is in an engaging way that's going to resonate with our ideal audience? One. Two, what kind of tone can we use that's going to stand out amongst the sea of samesies online?
Yep.
And tone being in the images that we use, the copy that we use, the questions and the engagement that we use. And then what platforms or communities, niche communities, are we going to use in order to get those results? And results is part of that strategy of what's even being measured in the first place. So it's not necessarily the doing of the tasks. It's the mindset, the ideas, the strategy that needs to go in place even before any of that takes place. Because so many brands I see today, they're like, hey, we have a social media account manager or a company that's doing our social media, but it's not doing anything for us. And the first question I ask is, okay, what has been your strategy? Like, who's your audience? What platforms? Why did you choose those platforms? And then I look at it and it's clearly not represented in the plan that they've put in place of even having a strategy. And that's key. And that's the first part of it, is really having that as part of your ongoing management.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just added complexity then too, because different platforms will cater to different industries or business types, and so that type of thing. So there's a significant intelligence factor, research factor that's behind that becomes before creating posts.
Yeah, and that you hit the nail on the head. Creating posts. They're like, oh, we got this intern or my teenage son's best friend that loves,
right,
working on the
phone or whatever. He's always on that Instagram thing. You should be good at it.
Anybody can post for you. You don't even have to pay a person. You can have an app that will do posting for you all day long, automated.
Yep.
Super cheap. Like, there's actually this company out there, 99 Social, which freaking love that company because I made comments on their automated stuff, and that's the biggest driver of referrals for us because they don't respond to it, because all they're doing is putting out posts. Anybody can do the post. Anybody can write posts. If there's the post without the plan that's actually going to cause an effect or an action to happen after it, then it's useless. It's just adding to the noise that's out there. So the strategy part has to be key. So when you're looking at hiring for somebody either to do it for you or a company that's going to do it outside of your organization or work with somebody internally, the strategy has to be there first and foremost before you even start adding to the noise that's out there. Okay.
Right.
That has to be key in what a role of a social media account manager or team of social media managers is going to do. And I think that's one of the biggest things that's overlooked now. And next to that is the writing. We just mentioned, okay, they would put a post out, many times it's with a link. All the social sites hate links now. Twitter, I still think there's some room for it, but even there, we're not seeing the same results with links. It's never in like my top driver of traffic on Google Analytics. And what I mean by top driver of traffic, like if our end goal, this going back to the strategy, is to have some sales, that's not really happening on social. Social is not the place for completing the sale. It's the place that is driving the conversation that inspires people to the conversion, which will happen on your home base, which is your website. So if you're not getting that traffic there or keeping a community engaged with the conversation and community by the people that have already purchased from you, engaged in conversation and relationship building with your brand, then what's the point, right? Like all this, it's just all for naught. So you need to have somebody that's a creative writer that can take not just a blog post and push out your title of the blog post and the link, but can take that into spinning it into taking your tone of what you're putting out there and making it into a conversational piece. And again, that takes somebody that's a seasoned or a unique kind of person, that can write for conversation versus just writing for sharing a post.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So there's skill sets of the type of writing within that's often overlooked and can't agree with you more there. Just that and that's a challenging skill because it's not taught in hardly any university settings. It's very rare and so it's different than a lot of the writing that's taught today.
It so is. And Percy brings up a good point. She's like, it has become more challenging now to create posts that aim primarily to get people to engage. It's not about posting and forgetting anymore. Freaking okay? And that's what it is. When I see posts that have an exclamation point at the end, I just cringe because it's like, that does not make it exciting, people. Like, it's not exciting. You have to write your post out. We do, again, 30 days at Now Marketing Group. We try to write ahead, not right now during this time because it's impossible to know what 30 days is going to hold, but writing your post out first of what you're thinking about sharing, but then rewriting it from a tone of speaking it. And that's where it changes from just having somebody do your social media to actually having someone that can make impact with your social media management. It's thinking about, okay, can I put a question at the beginning that's going to get people to even want to read on through the rest of the copy? And how am I going to monitor and inspire engagement, and not just in generic engagement, like, do you prefer this or this? Like actual engagement that is going to resonate back to the business. That's not going to feel cheesy or forced or pushed, but something that actually is going to inspire someone to leave better than when they came to post and feel like they're more connected to the brand. And it really takes somebody that can truly go back to the strategy, understanding the company, knowing their tone of voice, thinking like their customer and thinking like the brand, to say, how can I make this sound like us, feel like us, and engage with our ideal clients in a way that is meaningful, that's going to continue on the conversation? Because as we've said on here before, Facebook's not going to care about the likes anymore. They're not caring about, measuring that as a point of engagement. It's the conversation. So writing is a huge piece of that. And as you mentioned, it's not being taught in school. Copywriting to write blogs or AP type articles or, press releases, and even journalistic kind of writing, that's all taught. But you have to kind of throw all of that out the window and do a little quirky, like dots and, a little slang in there sometimes for some brands, and really make it sound as if you're texting or communicating with an individual to make them want to write back.
Yes. And you're not even also mentioning like the fact that on different platforms, the hashtag strategy is a part of that content. And on another platform,
Thank you.
Emoji strategy can
Can
be
you say,
part
can
of
you say
that.
the hashtag what? Hashtag what? What was the last part of that?
Strategy.
Thank you. Like, just adding a hashtag doesn't mean, I'm going to keep it PG, squat. If you're just putting hashtag there, it's like, oh, this is about business, hashtag business. Like, oh my God. So it's like a million other posts. Like, what can we bring it back to that makes sense for what we're writing about, as well as the use of a hashtag? The purpose of a hashtag is to help for indexing a post, one, to help make sure it's findable. The second reason for a hashtag is to inspire a community that is going to, their content's going to be brought together. So if you're creating your own kind of unique hashtag, we do one, like, for example, I think of one we can talk about. 50 Strong, we've talked about them before, Be 50 Strong, and some others that we've used that are part of a bigger campaign that now we can aggregate all that's being shared to filter into part of the conversation. That's somewhere where you're going to use a unique hashtag. But outside of that, you want to make sure that you're using it, hashtag strategy, as part of something that is going to help index the post in the meaningful way. Like, we work with a company that distributes and has e-commerce that sells very specific type of hair extensions, and they're selling to salons and stylists. And the company that they are purchasing the hair from, that they are an exclusive dealer from, is Bohemi. So of course, hashtag Bohemi should be in every single one of those posts. But then we need to look at what else makes sense and that's being engaged with, that's being searched for, different shows maybe that people are watching that resonates with this, different techniques, different things that are going to make sense to add in a hashtag. And you can't be all the same hashtags all the time. Like, you need to interweave some of them together, but have a true, actual thought, plan, idea, and result in mind that you want before you just throw a freaking hashtag on it. Like,
Yep.
That drives me crazy too. I feel like this is going to be a rant. I'm sorry, guys. I get excited about this stuff.
You're just adding to kind of the complexity that is often overlooked, and so when someone comes in, we're talking about account management, we're talking about hiring for that, or we're talking about a company that just wants support in these areas.
There's more to it.
Yes, yeah. We just want to make sure that you're trying to expand the horizons, because these are all the factors that that really need to be taken into consideration. And a lot of companies are not going to be, if they're not doing this on a regular basis, and they're not going to be aware of these things. I mean, that's why we stay in touch with these pieces, and you look at a company to help you.
Yeah. Percy, you're on a roll today with your feedback is so true. She mentioned on here, I think today it's become more crucial to talk to a specific buyer persona when creating a post. Like, instead of, hey, mommies, we have to say, hey, mommies of toddlers, or then state the problem and provide a solution. Amen, sister. So yeah, imagine when you're creating these hashtags, content, copy, whatever, and images we're going to talk about next. But when you're creating it, imagine you're communicating to that ideal person on the other end of the screen, because that's what we're doing. That's really what it's about. And you hit the nail on the head, Mike, where I don't think, like, as you said, it doesn't necessarily come into the forefront of the mind of somebody that's not doing it when they're just hiring for it, because they just think, oh, it's all fun in Facebook, right? It's easy. They're thinking about how they do their personal page, and they overlook, like, the difference of what's going to actually make something have an action at the end of the day from what they're putting out. Anybody can put social posts out, but if you actually want a result from it, these are the things that need to happen in order to take it to that next level. And Percy also said that's what she tells her social media students all the time. They're not responsible for completing the sale. No, what we're responsible for is driving the awareness and the consideration for them to want to make the sale that will happen on the website without any of it feeling salesy, which is tricky. That's where all the strategy comes in. It's tricky to really have conversation with someone without turning them off, thinking that you're just trying to sell them all the time, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Especially right now, like with this COVID stuff, like, this is where you can really truly tell, like, the brands that get it and have a team that is doing it and can do it versus the ones that don't. Because if you're still pushing out the same old messaging that you were before this happened, then it's going to really look bad. And it's actually going to hurt your brand versus help it. It really needs to be thought and considered of your ideal audience, what is going to be, as Percy said, helpful and solution-based for them to solve the problem that they have right now that's on their minds. Right. So talking about, like, we have a client that owns several dentist offices around the area. And he was, we're not going to be asking people to do appointments or that kind of thing. Instead, we're going to be talking about, like, here's some activities that you can do with your kids to keep good oral hygiene at home. Or here's some things that are happening in our community that can keep your kids entertained or help with schoolwork or whatever. Because our first and foremost goal is to build community and build relationships on this social platform. That in turn is going to keep them top of mind and keep the relationship built to where then when they do have something available, maybe, kids' health screenings or something for their dental health at that time later on, then it's not going to feel as salesy as it would if we were just pushing this out the whole dang time that this is all going on, right?
Yep. Yes, and again, you're educating the audience here, but a key was that you said build community. You didn't say direct sales.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So another part of that we're talking about when creating content is also the images. So you really almost have to be like a designer in both images and video now, because that is what is going to stand out too. And sizing it and knowing kind of what images are going to work, they're not putting all the copy on an image and calling that a day, that you really know kind of the placement of what to take out of your copy that's going to stand out on the image, as well as the copy that's going to make sense for the post part, and put both of them together in a way that's going to make it look appealing as well as memorable for that brand. So not like putting, something that's I've seen it on the flip side too, where companies kind of go overboard with their logo, where they're putting out like a message on like 9/11 or something and putting kind of logo on there or something like that. You need to kind of balance it with keeping it memorable and styled in a way that's going to stand out for your brand, as well as knowing how to create an image. And I said create, not take off Google, that is going to be part of your brand identity as a whole.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Have you seen some good, bad, and ugly with that, Mike?
Yeah. You're just definitely when you said like 9/11, you see some of these kind of going around through the holiday ones, and then you see somebody, you're just like, oh no, what are you doing with that? That's memorials or holidays. I mean, they have to be sensitive. Yeah. But I think what we're talking about, and it's just become more complex, and I think that's kind of one of the things that you want to get to as well, is that it's complex to the point where in many cases it takes more than a person, it takes a team, because you need some specialists in some certain areas.
Because we're only, at 1/10 of the list of what an account manager does. And we've already mentioned a few specific skill sets.
Yeah.
Strategy, which that is a unique kind of person already, right? Like they have to be able to see what's not seen, if you will, right? They have to be able to look at a situation and be able to think, okay, I can understand your brand, I can resonate with your audience, and I can have the foresight to see, okay, here's the platforms and the messaging that's going to simplify this in a way that's going to resonate to help us at the end of the day. As Jacqueline said here, it's selling without selling. It's really going to help sell without selling, without feeling like it's selling. And that's a specific kind of person. That's not, as we mentioned at the very beginning, going to be somebody that's just posting for you. That person needs to have that first and foremost. And that really takes some time and dedication to actually caring, first of all. And two, then being able to put it into action, because there's also those people that can speak it, but they don't do it, right? So you need to have the person that also is going to have then the skill sets of understanding the right messaging, hashtag strategies. We mentioned design and images, and how to use like a video for each of these platforms. And what I mean by that is creating a video that's going to be native on Facebook instead of just sharing a YouTube link. We mentioned they don't like links. Sharing a native video on LinkedIn, and not just a television commercial that you had made. Just because it's a video doesn't mean it's made for the channels.
Yes.
And having captions on it if it's just B-roll. Doing a 10-minute long video of just audio and stuff. Like, thinking strategy goes into all of it. And then being able to do the execution, the writing, and the responsiveness, which we'll get into. All of these tasks, I've never seen one person that could do all of these really well, ever. If you've met this person, let me know. They're a unicorn. They're amazing. But I've seen people that can do a generalist that can do really amazing things. Like Brian Fanzo does a great job on really multitasking with many things. I've seen that. I like to, try different things, but I will 1000% admit I am horrible at like designing Canva. I can see it up here. When I go to create it, it's a hot mess. Like, I need to have some help with the designs, creating the Canva designs or whatever we're using to design, creating the actual, videos, and even somebody to look over what I've wrote for grammatical stuff, because I write as fast as I talk. And sometimes I just see it the right way in my head, but it doesn't mean that it is correct. So I need some help there. And that's just a part of it. I mean, we haven't even listed all the other skill sets, but typically it takes a team. So when you're looking at doing this all yourself and feeling the responsibility, whether you're an employee or you're a hired contractor to do this, it's okay to say, look, this is going to take a lot of time to do. And here's some components or people that I need to have within our plan and within what we're trying to do to really bring this to fruition for you and to have the best results. I'm either going to look at needing to hire some other people that would be part of my management for you, or the company. If you work at a company and you're doing this, it's saying like, look, I have the strategy down. I know the images that I want to share, but I need some help with the execution. So I want to hire an agency or somebody that can do this for me and can keep up with all of it. Because as we said, it's 24/7, and it is not something that's a 9-to-5 kind of thing. These messages come in all the time. They're coming in on the weekends, the holidays, and an influx of messages, especially now during the COVID stuff, where it's like, it's impossible for one person to kind of keep up with it all and have good response rate with it.
Yep. And again, you may be able to, you may have some skills in certain area. You may be able to develop a few more to add to that skill set, but there's probably going to be a few that it's just not going to be quality or effective or efficient for you to stay involved in that area, and so like, for me, it's video production, that type of stuff. So it's so that's where the team piece needs to come involved. And again, thinking across these things, there are these different pieces there. So, somebody can be very good at Twitter and they might not have it all ready to go for Instagram, that type of thing. So that there's different pieces there.
And that's it too. Like, it has to be somebody that's not just focused and only doing the thing that they enjoy doing, right? Like Instagram, the account manager has to also be somebody that keeps their finger on the pulse of early adopting. Like right now with Now Marketing Group, and we're going to have it here on Magnet Marketers, we're looking at TikTok, right? We're looking at testing it out, using it, seeing the impact, seeing who it's going to make sense for, looking at it, and not just all being stuck in the tools that we love. We need to be open to seeing, okay, here's what the other platforms have to offer, natively built in. Here's the ones that's going to make sense for part of our strategy and the results that we want, as well as kind of testing it out and playing with it and saying, okay, this is within my wheelhouse to do, but I don't want to get so generic. And that's what I've seen too. When other companies just add something on, it's just a generic repeat of what they've done on the other platforms, which is not necessarily going to resonate on that next thing. So that's another new responsibility and role of an account manager, is really looking at the demographics, the personas, the goals that you want to reach, and then being able to test things out, test it first, look at it without just jumping into the shiny new object, and then be able to analyze what kinds of results could we have if we did this. So you really have to always be thinking, training to keep your finger on the pulse, because this changes all the time. Facebook just rolled out with all kinds of new stuff, new page feeds for pages. They just rolled out with that. They just rolled out in the Creator Studio, where you can respond back within Instagram and doing some things in the Creator Studio that wasn't available before. There's still tons of tools natively that's built in with the chatbot feature that they give you for free to put on your website. Right. So many free native tools that aren't being utilized because account managers don't know about it. They're still kind of just trying to keep up with the daily thing, right? The checklist, rinse and repeat each month.
Yeah. Well, we got some people commenting here. So Jacqueline is in the house. We got Brian in the house.
Olivia said TikTok's a game changer for 2020. Olivia is bringing us into the TikTok multiverse. She's running some fun TikToks with the Now Marketing Group team. I think it's been a lot of fun for everybody to play around with it.
Hey, and honestly, if anything has kind of taken off during this more quarantine period, I think TikTok has really gained from that in the social media platform, because I know for myself, I got some more time in different spots, so I'm exploring that a little bit more, and so therefore kind of getting acclimated to it a little bit more. I think more people are spending time, so that's one thing that's going to come out of it.
It's so much fun. Like, if you're ever feeling down right now, just go on TikTok for about 15 minutes, give yourself a little coffee break, whatever, booze break, whatever you need right now, and spend some time on TikTok. I promise you it will brighten your day up, because it's hilarious. But it also is something that you have to, again, go back to the strategy of how are we going to use this for our business, and what is the purpose and the outcome that we're expecting from it. Because yes, it may be fun, but if you're somebody that only has a limited amount of resources for time and attention, you need to know what your strategy is going to be. So our whole goal with TikTok right now is showing culture. It's going to evolve from there once we kind of have a use case for it, where I could definitely see quick little fun tips like this on TikTok. I've seen some other businesses do it, but it can't be all that, because doing something like this on TikTok, it's going to be ignored and really not liked. If we were doing something like that on there, it has to be fun, funny, and communicating value-added information in a fun way for the platform, right? So you have to look at that. How's that going to work?
Yes, absolutely. No, so I think, just talk about your team a little bit. I mean, you've had to kind of add to the team. You've had to add kind of some specialists, right? I mean, you've had a videographer for a while, but you've continued to add some specific roles that kind of fit within this because of the need.
I'm not immune to this either. I mean, I'm preaching to myself here, because we are, have the responsibility of managing things for clients. And I've had to tell them, like, over the years, it's changed a lot. So I not only have to have somebody, an account manager that can do ads, I need to have somebody that can really understand ads in a way that's going to create a better impact. So we brought on, just an ad specialist.
Yes.
Somebody that's can really truly focus their efforts there and work in conjunction with account managers and the web team to make sure that we have a frictionless buying experience. Were we doing ads? Yes. Could they have been better? Yeah. That's why we brought in an ad specialist, right? Because it really does take somebody that gets it, because that is challenging, a full-time job, and really takes a specialist in order to do it. And we've had the results to take that good to great, as a result from it. Not only that, but having, somebody that can just focus in on, designs and that can focus in on project management. So we had a designer before, but now we need somebody that can take those designs for each network and give us that template for brand kits of saying, here's the colors, the fonts that you need to use every time when you're putting images out on social so it's consistent. And a project manager that can take all the needs and really make sure that they're not just ideas that are thrown out, but they're ideas that are executed and followed up on, because that is also a big thing. It's one thing to talk about things, but it's a whole other thing to get it done. So having a full team, we use each and every person on the team, whether they do the same exact type of role or not, has their own, I would say, ninja skill, if you will, or superpower within our team. So like, we know if we need something really cool with Canva that's animated now, or with Wave that is done well and things that have worked, we'll reach out to like a Betsy on our team. If we want fun ideas that's going to get engagement for contests and things like that, we're going to reach out to Brian. Like, he comes up with those ideas. Olivia is great with things that get community involved in and how to give back. And then I had to hire a CMO that can check in with all account managers and be that overflow person too, that's not only checking in with them to make sure that they're all good, because you can get burnt out when you're doing all this. Because we just mentioned half the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, not even mentioning responding to all the reviews online, right? Making sure it's all good, making sure your team has a social media policy, following the Google alerts that are happening with your page, making sure your hours get updated as they've been fluctuating with COVID stuff, or with holidays, things like that, making sure things are on the web that matches what's happening or should be represented by your brand. Like, that's just some of the stuff we haven't even mentioned yet, but having a backup person, if you will, as well as, somebody that can really help with the direction and a sounding board for ideas, hiring a CMO, Jacqueline, which is in here now, that can really be a great support person for that account manager, as well as fleshing out ideas. And also, you can't work 24/7, even though many of us try, but she, will jump in on nights or weekends or something, or, flip flop with someone when they've got to go to a doctor's appointment or take a vacation, God forbid, anything like that. You need to have somebody else that's still monitoring the brand. And that's also a reason why you need to have more than one person doing it, because your social doesn't get a vacation, unfortunately.
Does not for sure. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's part of it. And I know we're like even coming up on time now, but we talked about some of the other things that are in just the daily to-dos. Another thing we haven't even touched on too is the analytics, the reporting, right? Like, so we talked about what we want out of it, but an account manager also needs to speak to, as we talked about, not just sticking with your favorites and doing that rinse and repeat, but somebody that can paint the story and be able to tell the story and anticipate where to pivot, kind of what to tweak, what to change, by understanding analytics.
Yeah.
Overall analytics and insights, and really paying attention to them. I mean, that's another thing that's going to really help shift a good to a great and profitable social media strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's almost something that maybe, a specialty area for some and maybe a challenge for others. So that's again, I mean, because you might be creative with putting together some posts, but get bogged down in trying to evaluate the data side of that. And so that there's, some keys there where having the pieces to fit together is crucial to get the overall pieces of the puzzle together to have the biggest impact.
Amen. Because it's one thing if you can just read them, right, and say, okay, you had this many website visitors. Here's how many new. Here's how many repeat. Right, like here's the bounce rate. Here's the time spent on your site, and then looking at that's on the website. But then looking at your analytics or insights, if you will, from your social, and saying, okay, here's the engagement pieces, and here's this and this. You need to be able to look at it and say, okay, if we had a down month, let's just say, go back and say, what was it that happened, right? Like, even knowing right now, like, for example, many company websites are probably down in their traffic on the website itself, but your social is probably up or should be up because not as many people are going to that website. If your business is closed, they're probably checking out your social pages first. So you need to be able to tell that story, and then also look and see, okay, that can paint a picture of saying, here's all the visits that we've had to our website. Here's where they were generated from. When I said Twitter, for example, isn't one of my top 10 that's bringing in traffic, being able to say, where's our traffic coming from? So for an example, we've seen from a couple of our clients where YouTube was driving in traffic, but YouTube wasn't a part of their strategy. So we're like, maybe it should be, right? Like, it should be, because people are looking at it and then going back to your website.
Yeah.
So what are we doing to focus on that? Or what our blogs are really driving in this kind of attention, and they're spending 10 times more time on the blog site than some of these other things. So let's look at that and see how can we double down on it. Or you have to not just be able to look and read the analytics, but understand them in a way that's going to inspire and create a plan from there to help keep moving toward your goal that you want. And that is a rarity to find in many social media account managers, unless they've trained in it and understand it, or have support of someone that does, that can help you then analyze the results. Because just looking at them to say, this is what it is, without taking action on it, is useless as well. So it's really about what you want to get out of it.
Yes. Jacqueline says that analytics are such a giant part of overall strategy and message. So again, agree with her, because you're pulling, you need to interpret that analytics and say, okay, what is that telling me that impacts strategy and the messages going forward?
Yeah. Pro tip, seriously, have it sent to you once a week. You and whomever else is going to be helping you with it. So you're not waiting till the end of the 30 days to get your results, right? So in Google, you can have it sent to you as a report automatically once a week, because let's be honest, we don't remember to go in there in order. We just like, oh, I got some free time on my hands, with all the other stuff we mentioned. We're going to check out analytics. Now we do our reporting scheduled each month, but have the report sent to you automatically once a week, so you can look and see where your trajectory is going, and then you can build upon that report. So usually Google lets you do one section at a time. Typically the biggest sections that are helpful is the first kind of dashboard page, if you will, that's going to give you your audience kind of insights overall. It's kind of just like how much time spent on the site, who's visiting it, newer, repeat sessions, time, bounce rate, that kind of thing. And then go into your actual acquisition section. And then you can create a report that is going to be combined together. So when you go report, schedule it, choose the day, the time, the frequency, and send it to yourself. Well, then you can go to that next section. And then instead of doing it again to send to yourself, you just say add to report. So it kind of builds up one succinct report together, then that you can look at once a week to give you kind of a high level overview to kind of let you know, is something, standing out kind of as an eyesore to me that we need to be concerned about, or even something that we need to note because maybe you just did a big event or had a big celebration that you need to note in there, so you can say, okay, this was a extraordinary event that caused a lot of engagement for this time. That's a little bit, more of a celebration for us that we need to note then. And when we look at this next month and say, here's why maybe we did not do as well, that would be more understandable than, oh my God, we've seen 50%, reduced traffic from social for this because last month we were running a contest to give away whatever, right? Like, it also can be on the flip side to really help you understand that something that you did had a good impact, but be forgiving of yourself the next month, I guess.
Important. Yeah. Lots of stuff. So hopefully, we've dispelled that kind of myth that, this is we can get some, you just pull a teenager in that because they spend time on social and they'll get it right kind of thing. But yeah, there's a lot involved with it. It's become more complex over the years, just because it's expanded. It's an industry, right? That's why social media marketing world exists, and as a
Absolutely.
That's why you have a conference, in Lima, Ohio once a year that is necessary, because these things change. It's expanded, and
Absolutely.
Lots of
Yeah.
them.
And so what do you do from here to take action on it? I mean, there's a couple things that I would say, as Mike said, like it's so, one, stay informed, go to events, study up, whether that's using Facebook's free blueprint, Google's free, skill builder, I think it's called, Google, that's free, or any of the other trainings that are out there, or in-person events that hopefully we'll be able to experience again very shortly here, like Social Media Week Lima, that we're praying and claiming that it's going to happen at July 29th and 30th this year, which you can find out more about that at sociallima.com. But also realizing that, as Mike said, it's not somebody that you can just hire to kind of post for you. You can definitely do that, but don't expect results. You get what you get, you get what you pay for, kind of thing. But you need to really understand that you also can't expect one person that you're going to hire that's going to be this magic for you that's going to happen. You need to hire either a team of people that can do all of this well, or somebody, if you're going to bring in one person, that can do what they can do well, and know that it's going to take bare minimum 30 hours a month to even get any kind of results. It's going to take time, and you need to be very, very clear on what you're expecting to get out of these results, and make it a part of your plan and your strategy, and then go back and measure it. Make sure it's
measure.
So more than ever, you're either going to need to consider, as a brand, utilizing this number one traffic driver for your business, which is social, that also impacts your search engine optimization, and really consider, this is something I want to invest in, either having somebody in-house do this for us, or invest in hiring an agency, that can handle all these for you, and that have kind of your full marketing department at your disposal. That's going to be a fraction of the cost, right? And less training and all that. So just something to consider, right? Like, we only touched on a few of the things that they do. We're going to have a blog recap of this on all the rules, questions to ask when hiring someone, and how to consider if you're going to either keep this in-house or outsource to someone else. We'll put this in the blog recap. We already have some of those blogs already prepared on Now Marketing Group's website. But if you'd like to get that, just visit now, or actually you can go to magnetmarketers.com and subscribe for the email updates, or just comment on any of the posts here where you're watching this video and say, I want it. And we'll make sure that we get you that blog recap, because I really think this is important now. And if anything that COVID-19 has shown us is that social is where people go when they want information. It's where people go when they're wanting community. So it's more powerful than ever before. So it's all about what you're going to do with it as a brand.
Exactly. Yeah, lots to learn, lots to stay in touch with, but you've got a ton of content up there that's going to be helpful, so we can point people to that for sure. And hopefully this discussion.
Yeah, so do you. Yeah, so absolutely. Thank you all for joining in with us this week. I'll make sure to put our links in the comments here. Both of us are always our goal. I feel like this was a therapy session for me. I got a lot of stuff off my chest here. Roles of a social media account manager. I get passionate about this stuff, but we're always talking about this, always trying to be helpful. As Mike says, add value, be uncommon, add value.
Add value, be uncommon.
So that's your motto, and he lives by it too. So we'll put our links in here so you can find out more resources maybe to help you with this, and do this as a blog recap. So we want to thank you so much for joining in with us this Tuesday on Magnet Marketers. We hope to see you back here next Tuesday, 4 p.m. as well. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week, guys.
Take care.